Hey, what is going on? Jim Hoffman here, of course, from emsseo.com. And I wanted to jump on here again and give some quick uh, study tips because I know whether you're in school, paramedic school, EMT school, or you're preparing for a test, studying and taking the extra time to study can be a little challenging. So I want to give some tips here because I think that following some of these tips and guidelines might help you study more effectively. Now, one thing that I always encourage people that approach me and have issues with find that time to study and being able to study is to try to go ahead and take breaks, take regular breaks. All right. Set up a schedule so that you can take a break during your study session. All right. So it might be where okay, I'm going to study for an hour and I'm going to take a 10, 15-minute break. I'm going to study for, 15 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. Whatever it is, I think when you're taking those breaks and you make it a regular break, it's going to help you study more effectively because you're going to be able to retain that information more because you're not cramming too much into your brain at one time. Actually, over my emsformula.com, I actually have a whole system there where I show you how to study in that way that makes it more effectively. But regardless, whether you join me in the program there or not, try to go ahead and take regular breaks during your study sessions. Okay. Now, another thing is taking notes in class. Now, a lot of times your instructor is going to be presenting a lot of information to you, and a lot of the times what they're talking about, what they're highlighting, are usually the topics that you are going to be more important to you as a student, right? If they're highlighting something, they're covering something, there are most likely the areas and topics that they feel are more important that you need to retain, you need to focus on, right? So it's a good idea to go ahead and become a good note taker. So, how do you do that? Sticking to main points is key. Don't try to write everything verbatim the instructor is saying. Use shorthand if you know how to use shorthand. And one thing, actually, two things that I want to mention. One is to be consistent in how you take notes so that when you go back and look at your notes, no matter when you've taken them, whether it was, in the beginning of class, the end of class, you will understand what it is you were writing when you were taking those notes, right? Now, the other thing is, and this is something that I've struggled with, is not being able to take the notes fast enough. I'm thinking everything the instructor is telling me is super important, right? So I end up writing, and I don't get to write everything that I should be writing. So one thing that I started to do, one thing that I discovered would help me more was writing down sort of the keywords or the name of a main topic. Okay, because once I did that, I didn't have enough time to write everything down. Then I could go back and use my textbook or use a review guide or whatever to elaborate on those key terms. All right, and that is something that I find really help because I think a lot of students get stressed that they're not taking enough notes and not taking the notes appropriately. But if you just go ahead and take that minute or two, writing down the keywords of the topics that are important that are being presented, then when you go back, okay, later on, then you can open your textbook and you can go ahead and delve deeper into that to refresh your memory and take longer notes at that point for yourself. So, taking longer notes, like I was just saying, is when you get home, review the notes and revise them so they're more concise and more understanding what it is you were taking the notes for. So you're rewriting them, you're cleaning them up, and believe it or not, when you're rewriting the notes, you are going to retain the information a lot better there as well. Sometimes you might have seen this, you might have your fellow students, you might do it yourself. Some people draw diagrams, they draw pictures that helps them understand the notes as well. And then be sure to go ahead, guys, when you're taking notes on a lecture that you've attended, go back at least within a day or so to review what it is that you wrote down. Okay, read through your notes again within a day or so and try to go ahead and understand the notes you were taking, how they're applying. And again, if you have to open your textbook and figure out what it is that you were taking the notes on, go ahead and do that. All right. Now, if you find that you're rewriting your notes, you're rereading them, and you don't know what the hell you wrote, you're like, what the hell did I even write this for? I don't know what this concept is. I'm not sure what it's doing. Then you might go ahead and say, okay, you're going to go ask your instructor at that point for some help to help you sort of fine tune the notes, fine tune the direction you're going, what is it you're writing, to go ahead and help you make the notes a little bit better. Okay. And again, rewrite them, reread them within the day. That's very key there. Now, another thing that I think would help you too is when you are sitting down to study, you get ready to study, is to try to do the tougher subjects first. Because what ends up happening is, of course, you like to do the things you like, right? So you're going to do the easier topics, and you're just human nature to go ahead and do that. But if you want to study smarter, guys, don't save those challenging tasks for the end. Okay, get the hardest ones done first. Because what's going to happen is, if you have these hard subjects you have to tackle that are in the textbook you didn't quite get during class or coming up on an assignment, right? If you don't do them first, it's going to be hanging over your head the whole time you're studying all the other stuff. And it's going to be a lot of sort of mental energy you're going to be spending on worrying about, oh my God, I got to do this really tough subject. I have to understand this thing that I'm struggling with, later on. So try to go ahead and tackle those tougher ones first. I think it's going to be easier for you to go ahead and do that. The last one I want to cover, guys, today, and I'm going to go over another little video another day or so talking about how to study the test, which is going to help you a little bit more as well. But I mentioned writing down keywords, key topics, things like that. That is important in your study methods. All right. So one thing you can do is pulling from your notes that you take, pulling from the reading that you do. Okay, is to focus on key vocabulary. Right. So if you ever notice when you're looking in your textbook or even handouts your instructor give you, right, you'll see those keywords, those key vocabulary words that are written in bold, right? They're highlighted. All right. So as you're scanning that and you're seeing those, right, try to write those down on a separate list someplace so that you know that those are key words, key vocabulary that you're going to probably see again. All right. They're not highlighting them because it's just fun to highlight stuff. They're highlighting it because more than likely you're going to probably see it again, maybe on a test, maybe in class sometime. So go ahead, note those when you're scanning it, write them down on a separate paper or make a separate computer document, whatever it is. So then later on you can look up those key terms in your textbook, go on Google and look them up. And this way you can be more familiar with those terms and what they mean, because then you'll see them on exams, you'll see them in questions, questions and answers, and you'll be able to put it all together because you understand what those key vocabulary words actually meant and how it applies to whatever it is that you're testing on. All right, so I'm going to end it there, guys. I really appreciate you joining me. Do me a favor, hit the like button below. Let me know that you're getting some value out of this. And if you haven't seen it, on the bottom here, you see ems2022.com. That is a special link where you can go and join me as a EMS SEO responder. And that is a free website, 100% free, lots and lots more of study and review content that's there for you to go ahead and take advantage of and be better at EMS and understand topics much, much better. I'm adding new content to that all the time. I've actually just added two things just this month after I loaded up about 50, 60 things onto the site before, but there's a lot more coming. So go join, get in there. I've already got about 4,000 somewhat members that have joined me there as a free member and as a free responder member. So go take advantage of it, guys, at EMS2022.com. 100% free, nothing to pay for. All right, I end it there, guys. As always, I am Jim Hoffman from EMSSEO.com. Stay safe.